Welcome to the Rock and Roll Show podcast. We are here to share the thrill of experiencing live music together with strangers and with friends, and to get to know our guests a little bit better through their experiences with music of all kinds. I'm your host, Alex Gadd, and I relate to people best when talking about music. Finding out what kind of music someone's into, how they got into music in the first place, allows us to get to know and understand one another better. Today, we've got a great show lined up for you, and it's something a little bit different. We'll be talking with Derick Sebastian. Derick is a world-class ukulele player, having played all over the world, so we'll find out how that developed. And now he's become an author, with his first book, Daydreaming with Purpose, set to come out in early 2025. So we'll talk about that and much more. Please welcome Derick to the show. Derick, how are you?
Aloha, Alex. Nice to see you, my friend.
Great to see you. Are you in Hawaii?
Yeah, I'm here on Maui, Hawaii, Wailuku area. So yeah, it's beautiful.
I love Maui. I've only been once, but I did truly love it. So, where were you born and raised? Is that where you grew up?
Yeah, born and raised here on Maui, but a little different, more in town. It's called Kahului. And then my wife and
Mhm.
I got married and we moved a little bit up towards the mountain. So in Wailuku area. So still on Maui though, still smiling.
Good, as you should be. It's one of the most beautiful places I've ever been.
Oh, beautiful.
I,
Awesome.
I always like to start with just getting an understanding of how you found music or how music found you. And I know you have a unique story there. But if you could just share that, I think it's a fascinating story.
Sure thing. You know how it's a long story because it all started when I was 3 years old when my dad passed away when I was 3 years old. And at that time, early on, I didn't really understand what was going on, not having a dad around until when I got a little bit older. I would say maybe, fourth, fifth, sixth grade kind of deal where I would see all my classmates going to all these parent teachers conferences, school functions and meetings and all that good stuff. And I'll be going to those meetings. No dad, obviously, because he passed away. And then I would be going with my sister or my aunties or uncles. And it would be like, man, I started to question life a little bit, and why me? Why my dad is not here? And I it was a kind of like a void in a sense. And I started to just try to search for life a little bit, search my purpose. And my mom let me join baseball. And it was like a whole new thing, like a breath of fresh air kind of deal. So I played baseball for a couple years. And then my asthma got bad at 11 years old. And doctor said, no baseball, none of that. Go to school, come home, and just rest your lungs. And I was like, "What in the go?" I just found something great, baseball, and now it's being taken away again. And I kind of went in that little hole, not being so motivated. And one day in sixth grade, I saw my our school security, Mr. Sam Ellis, and he's a longtime family friend. Prior to I've known Mr. Ellis since I started elementary. But anyways, Mr. Ellis was the school security at that local intermediate school at that time, and he was sitting on the bench playing his ukulele. And it was during recess, and I was looking at it, and I kind of gravitated to that. And everybody did. Mr. Ellis is on the bench, jamming, improvising, singing, laughing, just having a good time. And everybody was just cruising and just smiling. I was like, wow, this is cool. And I felt that pure fulfillment, the joy, if you will. And I just went up to him and he knew me, I knew him. I said, wow, Mr. Ellis. And, he said, here, you try. And I had no idea. So I picked it up, strummed. I sound horrible. But at the same time, it was this new life in my hands kind of deal. And, you know, that was the day that I knew that, wow, this is cool. And uh, every recess, I would go find Mr. Ellis. He'd be playing his ukulele on the bench and we got really close. And that was the start of something amazing 31 years ago.
That is
Yeah.
amazing. Now, how soon after that did you get your first ukulele?
Ooh, Alex, not too long after, man. I begged my mom to go to the music store. And back then you gotta understand those ukuleles weren't cheap. They made good ukuleles and that's it. No entry levels. You know what I'm saying? So my first ukulele costed close to $1,000. And my mom freaked out. She's like, $1,000. I mean, but I wanted it so bad. And, you know, she got it. And that was, I still have it, and it's one of the best gifts I could ever have. Yeah, it's just changed my life, man.
It's interesting when parents see that thing that their kid really responds to, it's hard not to find the means to get it for them, whether it's a guitar or a ukulele or a bike or whatever it is that the
Hmm.
kid is really responding to, especially a kid who, from what you described, I imagine it must have been hard. You lose your dad, and I'm so sorry about that. But then you lose
Mm.
baseball when you find something that you can pour your passion into.
Yeah.
Were you listening to music already around the house with your friends before you found Mr. Ellis and the ukulele?
To be honest, Alex, not really. I was into cartoons, watching DuckTales, all those, Rescue Rangers. Am I bringing you back, my friend?
Oh,
Yeah.
sadly, I'm a little older than you, so no, I was already in college when those came out.
Oh, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I was bored, man. I was bored watching TV. And when the ukulele was introduced to me through Mr. Ellis, like I said, it was a whole new chapter in my life. I didn't want to do anything else but play ukulele and go see Mr. Ellis during school. So I love going to school now. You know what I mean? So it really, like I said, it changed my life. It gave me a whole new perspective, and I was looking forward to it every day. It gave me a little bit of some hope. So
Sure. So 30 years ago, 30 some odd years ago, what was ukulele music? What was the music you were playing?
ukulele wasn't popular back then. It was one of those
That's why I'm asking.
yeah, it honestly, it was a little rough when I first started because, my classmates would actually tease me that I'm not playing baseball. You should be playing baseball, but they didn't understand that I had health conditions because, I kind of kept it a little
Mhm.
personal. So when I picked up the ukulele, um, I really kept it close to me as a personal thing, and Mr. Ellis understood. And that's when I started to get into music. I started listening, obviously the Hawaiian music, the island contemporary, the reggae, all those, good island vibe music. Um, and we kept playing more, and I started to explore a little bit more into, flamenco picking and rock and
Mhm.
roll and all these Carlos Santana to, Jimi Hendrix to all these kind of, it gave me a little, just how can I play these kind of styles on the ukulele? And just get, like I said, it just opened some doors, man. So it was really a cool thing to experience. Like, how could I do, play all those styles on the ukulele, classical music on the ukulele? So that's what yeah, it started something amazing, man. So,
Very interesting that you describe it that way because I saw your TEDx talk. And
mm,
in that, after you played the original song, which is a tribute to Mr. Ellis, which we'll get back to, you just showed the audience what you were capable of playing. And it started with, I believe, a classical piece that you merged fluidly into Stairway to Heaven, I believe. And then you went on to play what I thought was flamenco music. And I'm like, I thought to myself, is this guy really just playing all these things as one fluid piece of music? It was really something to see. So I'm glad you described it that way because it tells me I'm not crazy more than anything. Um,
thank you.
at
You're not
what
crazy,
point did
Alex.
you know? No. So at what point did you know that playing music was going to be your life's work, your calling, and your purpose?
Wow. Um, it took a couple years to understand a little bit of what this ukulele was transforming me into, or transitioning me into, I should say. From sixth grade, seventh grade, my goal was to master the instrument. I wanted to see how I could really take what I'm hearing and just playing it without learning music, without knowing sharps and flats and all that crazy, theory stuff. I
Hmm.
tried, but it didn't really resonate with me. So my goal was to practice and have fun, but yet master the instrument. When eighth grade came around, when about 13 years old, um, I was back into baseball already, but at the same time, I was juggling and trying to balance the ukulele. And, I would say I was practicing ukulele probably about 6 hours a day, get up about 5 in the morning, practice about hour and a half before getting ready for school, recess, lunch recess, after school, a little bit with Mr. Ellis, and then come home, kind of practice a little bit, and then maybe go to baseball, whatever, and then come home, do homework, dinner, and then I'll practice until almost I fall asleep with the ukulele. So it was a long day, but it didn't feel like it. And at that time, at eighth grade, at 13, I started to ask that question, and Mr. Ellis really helped me to emote through the ukulele, to express my dreams and my vision. And I realized that the question was, how can I inspire others through the ukulele? Could I travel the world? Could I go like on a different island just to start, maybe to the mainland? I don't know, but it allowed me to dream and to just ask myself, what if? And from there, it really opened up the perspective of daydreaming with purpose, which is my book title right now. So anyhow, that's how the ukulele really kind of, at eighth grade, to answer your question, at 13 years old is
Yeah.
when I said, like, hey, how can I actually take this a little further? So, yeah.
Yeah, that's very, very impressive. Do you remember the first time you played out to strangers?
Yes, it was it was actually for Mr. Ellis's like families, the uncles, the aunties, and it wasn't really to perform. His idea was, and he made it clear, hey, we're not here to show off your talent. We're not here to make everybody see that you can play ukulele. We're here to share your gift. It's our responsibility to share this gift that we're blessed with. And from then you'll learn more. And I couldn't understand at that time. But hey, I just love playing ukulele. So I showed up regardless, right? So I went along for the ride. They play for, whoever would go to the family gatherings, to the park, to people's garages and whatever. We would just jam. But it really set a foundation where I realized what he was trying to teach me was it's all about the relationships, giving back, and not always receiving, but always giving back, giving that aloha, giving the
Hmm.
love, giving the gift. And the more we did it, the more we got back, which was not necessarily monetarily or anything, but was just the love and the relationships that we developed. He set that foundation, Mr. Ellis, and he became, that adopted father, if you will, or that Hanai dad. We call that in Hawaii, Hanai, which is adopted. And
Hmm.
that's what the ukulele did, man. It wasn't necessarily just like something that I could think of like doing for a living, but it was definitely part of, man, the ukulele got to be part of me. Wherever I go, whatever I do, I got to start playing the ukulele. And that started like a wildfire deep down inside. And that's when I started asking myself, okay, how can I make a living, playing the ukulele? And that's a whole different story.
Oh, we're going to get to that story. Don't worry.
Yeah.
So, while you're in high school, what kind of music are you listening to that influenced your ukulele playing? So you said 13, so now we're talking about 14 to 18. What
Yeah.
kind of music
Yeah.
is influencing your playing?
Oh my, there was a lot of influences. I had a group of friends that we played music together, which again was more like the reggae, the island and stuff like that. But when in high school, obviously juggling sports again and school and all that stuff, a lot of classical, to be quite honest, very uncomfortable music that I thought to myself, how can I take this piano like Beethoven or whatever and just kind of apply it to the ukulele. So
Hmm.
I don't read music, Alex. So it was a challenge to just kind of play it on the ukulele because ukulele has just only four strings, right? I started to explore Carlos Santana, Europa, Oye Como Va, those kind of black magic. I thought, man, that was such a cool thing to play it on the ukulele, and I started exploring that in addition to all the local music that I was jamming here with some friends and Mr. Ellis. So I noticed performing wise, we would have fun, um, jamming the local stuff, reggae or whatever. But when I was alone, it was like more deeper into the ukulele where it would challenge me, obviously listening and just trying note for note, bends, scales,
Hmm.
riffs. Like I said, I don't know pentatonics and all those good stuff, but people would say,
Neither
"Hey,
do I.
they would like, hey, that's a pentatonic scale." I was like, what's a pentatonic scale, right? So I don't know, man, Alex. It's just, and I still learning today, right? I study different types of music and all that good stuff. So yeah, it's been a journey to say the least. So
I can imagine. Is there a favorite type of music that you like to play today?
not really. I love just being in the moment, and I pick up the ukulele, I play some Bob Marley, play some classical picking songs that I wrote or just want to mimic on the ukulele. I play some John Mayer to Jason Mraz to. I mean, I don't know. I just love having the ukulele beside me and I pick it up and I just end up playing any songs that come to heart, you know what I mean? Or any style for that matter. But yeah, I just love music, man. I really do.
Oh, it comes through in your playing, just in the little bit that I've seen as I was researching for this episode. It's pretty amazing. Is there a type of music that doesn't translate well to ukulele?
I've never tried it 100%, but I got to tell you, man, jazz music is a tough one. Um, for me at least, because it's just all over the place, man. I mean, a wrong note is the correct
Mhm.
note for some. I don't know why it is, but it's just like I don't know how to figure it out. But I've got some, friends that are ukulele virtuosos and masters to that matter, and they play jazz. So I think that's very inspiring, man. It's just very cool. But yeah, jazz on the ukulele for me, although I probably have some, jazz riffs and some flavors on there, but I
Yeah,
don't play like 100% jazz on the ukulele. I'll drive everybody crazy. So,
understood. Can you just real quick take a left turn here? When
mhm.
you're learning to play a song, you're learning by ear, and regardless of what type of music it is, do you focus on playing the melody or do you try and combine the whole piece at once? How do you break down a song for ukulele the first time you try to learn it?
The first thing is finding that first chord or the root.
Yeah.
Is it in C or G or A or some kind of flat? And
Right.
from there, it's almost downhill because I've developed this learning curve where once I find out the chord, whether it's let's just for example G, I know there's a C and a D7. That's the one fourth and fifth kind of deal in music theory, but that's all I know. But all I know, but for picking,
That's all you need to know.
that's all I need to know. I mean, there's the E minors and the A minors, but I don't know what number or whatever that is.
Right.
But for figuring out picking, there's only a couple patterns that you'd able to play any solo on the ukulele. So you just got to find out the first chord or the chord they're playing in. And then there's a couple patterns that I resonate with that I don't know if I made it
Hmm.
up or whatever. I don't want to claim it, but like I said, you're like say in the key of D, there's a couple patterns. You'll play any solo on the ukulele in the key of D, no matter where they go. I don't know even how to explain it, but that's how I learn and that's how I play. So
When did your music first take you off of Maui or out of Hawaii and elsewhere in the world?
that's a long story because it first started like ukulele contests here locally on Maui. And it started there, some talent competitions, again, local on Maui. And then Mr. Ellis and I think I was 13 years old or something. We entered this statewide ukulele contest. and we ended up winning the whole thing. And then I got a little recording contract, and things kind of gained momentum there. And by the time I was 15 or 16, um, I started to travel inner island. And I think I had my first gig in the Bay Area about that time too, like 15, 16 years old, an ukulele festival. I got invited out there. So I was just telling myself, how can this be, man? I'm getting flown out to some kind of ukulele festival in the mainland. And I did it. It was with a group of friends. Um, and I was part of it. And from there on, it just gained momentum where I eventually started traveling all by myself outside of Hawaii.
That's great. I do have to ask, do you sing ever while you play?
Yes, I do sing. I like to sing, not the best, but I like to tell the audience the more you drink, the better I sound. So I tell them to start early. So I'm just kidding. It's all
No, that's a good one. I like it. It's a way to manage expectations.
That's right. That's right.
I've done that too. Where have you played? Where is your music taking you today? My understanding is you've played many, many places. So one of
Yeah.
the things I want to talk about is you've played the national anthem at many sporting events.
Yes, I
So
do.
tell me how that started.
Oh, I mean, oh my gosh, I don't know exactly how to tell it all in detail, but there was first, like I said, in Maui, a lot of people travel here, a lot of organizations, sports, and you know, I grew up with the first love of baseball and sports. I just loved sports growing up, and unfortunately, it was a blessing in disguise that got taken away from me at a young age because that's how I found the ukulele, right? But when I started to put the ukulele on the forefront and just focus on the ukulele and just slowly put sports or baseball at least in the back seat, I still had that little nudge of, how can I connect this ukulele or this childhood dream of sports with the ukulele. And it was just that what if, and I had opportunities to play some halftime shows locally here at the Maui Invitational, which is the NCAA men's basketball tournament here in
Hmm.
Lahaina. And man, ESPN, I made friends with those guys and EA Sports and Maui Gym, and things started to like, wow, you do sporting events. This is pretty cool. We never had an ukulele at halftime shows, or we never had a ukulele pregame and all that stuff. So it started like a little trend. And I remember that about that time, my wife and I, we're having dinner at my papa's or my wife's my in-laws, my wife's family, and we're sitting at Papa's table, and Papa's table, there's a little TV that always has the Lakers games on. So all the Lakers always playing whatever, and that's the backstory of how I became a Laker fan because I married into my wife's family, and they're just all Lakers fan. But that's a whole different story, Alex. So, but anyways, we were watching the Lakers playing on TV, and it was Kobe and Shaq's era while they were playing together. And we were just watching them play on TV, and we would just see the Lakers logo be panning left and right and left and right. And I kind of paused and I looked at my wife. I said, "Hey, what would it be like? What if I was to perform Staples Center, a center court on that Lakers logo?" And we kind of laughed at it, man, because it was never done, right? And we kind of chuckled. We just changed the subject, and I went home that evening, man. And for some odd reason, it almost woke me up a couple times throughout the evening. Kind of like, what if? Like, I started to think, how can I do it? Um, I started to try to call the Lakers. It did nothing happened. Like a year or two, nothing. Like I tried calling, I tried email. I mean, it was just plain crickets, like nothing, like absolutely zero response. But the crazy part is I was playing locally here at the Hula Grill, and I met this guy. He was watching my show, and the he still is the CEO and the president of the Arizona Diamondbacks MLB team. And we became good friends, and I was on a tour in Caesar's Palace and San Diego and stuff. And I called Derek and I told him, hey, can I just catch an MLB game? I'm coming from Vegas. I'm going to stop in Phoenix and then head out to San Diego. And he said, yes. And I told him this is special because it's my first MLB game ever and I got 2 days to spare. So he said, will you have your ukulele? I said, yeah, I'll have my whole equipment because we're on tour. So he said, he just abruptly like, hey, I gotta go. Let me call you back. That's what he said. And I was like, that was kind of weird. And minutes later, the director of game operations calls me and he said, hey, Derek just said you're coming through town. Will you be able to come to this game? You know, he mentioned the date. I said, yeah, absolutely. He said, well, will you be able to play the national anthem on the ukulele? I said, are you serious? And he said, yeah, we want you to play here in the stadium. And I said, absolutely. So I said, yes, let's do it. And we finalized like in like 5 minutes and we hung up the phone. And Alex, I swear, man, I think that's the first time I've ever experienced real anxiety because I've never played the national anthem on the ukulele. You know what I'm saying? And I had to learn the song. I had to learn the song. I had to figure it out. I was so stressed out. I have no idea. Like I was telling myself, why did I say yes and just yes and yes, even though I'm not ready. But that was the start, you know, Arizona Diamondbacks, 2 consecutive years. And then eventually the Lakers called me maybe 5 years later after initially trying for the Lakers. 5 or 6 years later, they called me. Um, I played here for the preseason opening on Oahu, and that went well. But it wasn't the Staples Center, man. It wasn't that Lakers logo. So I tried again the next year. They brought me in. After about 7 or 8 years of trying, they finally brought me into the Staples Center. And it was very historic. It was Kobe Bryant's retirement season. And it was his last time playing against LeBron James, who was playing at that time for the Cleveland Cavaliers. So
Yes.
it was crazy. It was crazy. So yeah, the Lakers, it took a while to get there, bro.
So I know you've played for many other baseball games and basketball games. Where else have you played for people that are really famous? Where have your audiences taken you?
Maui had, there's a lot of uh, established people here in Maui. So, I mean, we hang around a little bit. Like last week, who was I with? Lucas Nelson and the songwriters from Nashville. They're here. Um, I met Luke
Cool.
Combs. Luke Combs was here. Randy Hauser, Lucas Nelson, Willie Nelson, um, Steven Tyler. I mean, we all hang out, man. I did a ukulele lesson with Oprah up at her house up country here in Maui. Um, Mick Fleetwood, I just performed with him a couple weeks ago at the Maui Ukulele Festival. Um, I mean, there's so much, man. I mean, but then again, at the end of the day, we're all just human beings, just enjoying life and sharing gifts. Our gift together. So it's not
Right.
necessarily. I don't feel starstruck. But at the same time, I'm very interested in their life's perspective and how they got started. And so we talk like that, man. It's not about the technicality of the music part. It's more like life, and I enjoy that a
Mhm.
lot. So yeah.
Well, I think you deserve to be treated as an equal by other world-class musicians because you are one too.
Oh, you too kind, brother. I appreciate it.
Where's the most impressive place that you've ever played to you? Where's the place you've played where you thought, "I can't believe I'm playing here"? It sounds like the Staples Center was one of them. Where else like that have you played and thought, "I can't believe that my wanting to share my gift with the world has brought me to this place?"
There are several places that actually shaped my whole entire life. It first started off as dreaming. I wonder, I dreamt of like, wanting to meet Jason Mraz and perform with him. And that happened. It happened here on Maui. I had dreams of meeting Oprah, and that happened. The producer from Chicago called me all the way from Maui and say, "Hey, we bought some ukuleles for Oprah. We want you to deliver it to her personally and give her a private concert and teach her how to play ukulele." And I was like, okay. I was like, that happened. Um, um, I wanted to travel internationally, and I dreamt of that. And my first opportunity was in Australia. That was a very interesting experience because it was obviously it's the first time going out of country. But I ended up traveling to where'd I go? Philippines, South Korea, Thailand, China, Europe, Finland, Estonia, Germany, Canada. All those places just totally gave me a whole new perspective in life, and to know that, wow, I'm doing it because of the ukulele. I'm seeing the world because of the ukulele. Philippines was something special because that's where my mom and dad is from. And, it was a
Mhm.
very humbling experience because they just, they appreciate it. They appreciate a lot. So it really humbled me to be grateful and to even give back more. But yeah, even the sports stages, to always think that, wow, this is my childhood dream and I'm playing in front of thousands of people and I look up and they're looking at me and I get so darn nervous about it. But yeah, Dodgers, San Francisco Giants, Seattle Mariners, Arizona Diamondbacks, and a bunch of MLB spring training games. And it's just been a dream come true, man. There's not one particular event or any, anything like
Mhm.
that, but a lot of them has definitely gave me some perspective in full gratitude and appreciation. So yeah.
That's so good, and again, I'm so happy for you that you got to have those experiences, but it seems pretty well deserved from what I can tell. Is there a place in the world that you wanna play that you have yet to play? Is there a venue? Is there a city? Is there a country that you've never been to? Is there a place like that for you, or are you open to whatever comes and you're not focused on one?
you,
And I'm
you
talking
know
dreams here, I'm talking bucket list.
I always hear about, Red Rocks in Colorado, and I've passed the Hollywood Bowl many times, but I've never stepped in that area. Um, those kind of venues is kind of like those, wow, I mean, what if, maybe one day.
Right.
But then at the same time, there are those sporting events that I would like to maybe check off the bucket list, maybe like a hockey game. I've never been to one. I would love to connect the hockey game with the ukulele. I would love to maybe hopefully one day play the national anthem in maybe the World Series of MLB. I think that would be the next
That's what I
level.
was thinking, is that yeah, you should have been playing this year at the Dodgers.
Everything happens for a reason. Or maybe a playoff
Yes.
NBA game. I've never done an NFL game. I've been in contact with several of them, and but just the timing wasn't right, which is fine, But Alex, I'm at a point here in my career where, if it happens, it happens. But if I manifest it enough, I'm pretty sure that eventually it will happen. So
Yes. Right on. Well, I am too. How do you see your career evolving musically over the next 10 to 20 years?
that's a really great question, Alex. I really think about that all the time. And, I'm not gonna jump the gun on this, but that's eventually um why I'm doing what I'm doing today is more as a creative. Ukulele has opened up so many opportunities But there was a point in my career, and it really kind of shocked me and shocked my whole entire family, because I came home, I think, after European, a winter European ukulele tour, and it was an experience of a lifetime. But I was really tired, being gone 100+ days out of the year for like 4 or 5 straight years. And I remember coming home and I told my wife that I don't want to tour anymore. I don't want to get on an airplane. I want to just stay home. And she thought something bad happened, like something like, what happened? Like, seriously, I said, nothing. Just, I think I need to turn the page. She's like, so you're going to stop playing ukulele? I said, no, 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 no. I mean, I want to see how I can evolve. So that is when I started to tap into creative writing, like maybe a songwriter, or maybe a really real like music composer or something like that. And you know, things just aligned itself where um, Jason Mraz was coming into town. I called him. We exchanged numbers, and he was coming for a songwriters conference or a festival. We hooked up, we talked stories, we talked life, and he inspired me to just journal, start journaling, because when you journal and you just heart dump, you start to find your way and you start to find answers of, the questions you have deep down inside, he said. So he gave me this nudge to just journal, man, and write. And that led into songwriting, that led into music licensing, which is writing ukulele music for, film, television, commercials, media. That's what I've been doing for the past maybe 3, 4 years now. That has been
Hmm.
great. I don't have to step on stage much. I create in the studio. I get briefs. I work with music supervisors, directors, music libraries now. My songs have been signed to several music libraries and directly with like Roxy, Quicksilver, Hyatt. And yeah, I don't know. So that's what the ukulele has led me into. And now it's just more private events that I do. Not too much on the restaurants or the public stages. Is more private events, corporate weddings. So I'm a wedding officiant, and I also perform ukulele for weddings. So been very blessed, and that whole entire thing led me into writing a book, and that's where I'm at today. So it's just been a whole journey, man. The ukulele has definitely changed my life, and it's still inspiring me to use the instrument as a tool to hopefully inspire others. So
Well said. Well said. So let's talk about the book. It's called Daydreaming with Purpose. It's set to come out. I believe you've locked the book down and you're waiting for an official release in January, February. Is that
mm,
correct?
correct. Yes. Yes. Absolutely.
Okay, so how did the book really come about? You gave us the big picture version just now, but specifically, when did you say, you know what? I want to write a book about my journey and how to share that with other people.
Oh my goodness, Alex, this is a great story. So here we go again. That seed was planted years back. Was what I always thought, what would it be like to be an author? And that scared the heck out of me. For real. It was like, ooh, I'm not gonna write a book. Who am I to say I'm an author? Right? Like it was just like that imposter syndrome was like, there's no way. But then again, that would be kind of cool. There's always that little open door. But anyhow, long story short, I think 3 years ago or maybe four, I met the book coach. He's a publisher, and I met him through a good friend of mine who's also an author and stuff like that. So it was just a friend of a friend kind of thing, where I stumbled upon a book coach here on Maui who's been very successful, and we kind of talked about it, and I was like, nah, this is not for me. I don't know what to write. So I kind of swept it underneath the rug for a little bit. And I think earlier this year, we've revisited the idea. We sat, had coffee, and it was a great conversation. And he said to me straight up, he looked directly into my eyes. He said, hey, it's time to write your book. I said, I don't think so. And he said, no, we need to stamp your journey. We need to stamp your stories and document all your stories. So I said, that's not good enough, because everybody has stories. Everybody's successful in their own way. And to me, I don't think that's like a real reason why I should write my book. And He was just, I could tell he's getting frustrated because I was just so like, nah, I'm not gonna write the book now. So he said, you know what, Derek, let's put it this way. Because I have three boys, 19, 16, and 14 right now. And he, my book coach right now is Patrick Snow. And Patrick told me, you need to write this book for your boys and your family. Because if you don't write this book and tell your stories and how, the challenges, not just the successes, but the challenges, the adversity, the relationship, your stories to music, if you don't tell that, then they will never know where they came from. Everything would be just memories. But if you document it in this book and you write your stories from your heart, they can now say, this is my dad, or this is my grandpa, my great grandpa, or whatever. And I sat there, I'm getting like goosebumps right now, but that is when I knew deep
So
down
am I.
inside, that was like the mic drop. He told me, you have to write that book at least for your children. And I said, you know what? You're right. I'm going to do it. And flipped the switch, and man, I probably I kind of calculated the hours of this book that I've been working on. It's easily over 1,600 hours right now. It's insane. I went for it, man.
That's great. I can't wait to
So,
read it. Do you have an official publishing date yet?
Alex, I, I, I do not yet, but I'm actually in this pre-sale phase. And within email subscribers and my family, my friends, the social media, all the support team over the years throughout my music, I started a pre-sale for them. So, they can purchase it. Um, and
Mhm.
then, I'm doing this behind the scenes. And then once all this pre-sale is done, and we're gonna go global in probably January. So this pre-sale is pretty cool. It's a lot of work, but we're doing this very high-end exclusive printing. I mean, it's gonna be very like the best book you can probably print. And you know what I mean? It's very immersive with a lot of my music, some QR codes, videos, songwritings, or featuring my songwritings and my songs and all that stuff. So yeah, it's a very, very high-end book. We're doing it for the inner circle or whatever. But when the global launch starts, I think the book changes with the print and the quality and stuff like that. So yeah.
That makes sense. And with your permission, we'll put a link in the description of this episode so that people can sign up for your mailing list and
Yeah,
stay
totally.
connected with you on social media. Before I let you go, I do want to acknowledge your father figure in your life, Mr. Ellis, one more time. He passed away, is that correct?
Yes, yes. He passed away back in 2013.
And you wrote the most beautiful song for him or inspired by him
Mhm.
that I saw you perform online. Is there a place that I can go listen to that other than on YouTube? Is that a recorded piece somewhere?
I I believe there's a recorded piece on like iTunes and all that stuff. I think I recorded that back in 2010 on an album called From His Heart, I believe. And
And so
yeah,
he's heard it. Mr. Ellis heard that song before he passed away, correct?
yes, yes. Yeah, he's heard. So
Oh, that's a blessing.
yeah, amen to that, Alex. That song originally was written for another mentor. His name, he also passed away, but his name was Eddie Bush, and he was another ukulele great, very established in the ukulele world. And Mr. Ellis encouraged me to make the best of the opportunities that I had with Uncle Eddie Bush. And, you know, he really invited me to to basically fly under his wing, and he wanted to teach me life and to teach me ukulele and maybe even travel um, around the world and show me the ropes. And long story short, I didn't. I didn't take those opportunities. I thought I knew more. I thought I knew what I wanted in life at that time. I was a little younger, um, and I wanted to play my own thing. And Uncle Eddie Bush passed away with a massive heart attack, and that really struck me because I kind of regretted all those times. I thought I knew life. I thought I knew what I wanted to do, and he was this guy who not just wanted to teach me ukulele, but gave me the opportunity to maybe me being one of his best, my best friends in life, kind of deal. So I wrote that song, Eddie Bush, and it just really reflect of just a beautiful story of one's life where you got to embrace people when you have the opportunity to love and to develop a great relationship. You got to take it, and that song it starts beautifully and it gets a little bit intense because that's probably where the regret came from, the anger, maybe a little bit. But yeah, that song Eddie Bush was written for a mentor of mine's, and then when Mr. Ellis passed, that song I just kept playing that song because it reminds me of Mr. Ellis too. We have our ups and downs. I mean, yeah, it's music, man. Whatever inspires and whatever strike the heartstrings, man. That's where it goes, right?
Well, I think the most important thing is that your mentors can't stay around forever. I mean, that's not how life works. But you carry them on in your work and you inspire other people, and that's them inspiring other people through you. It's all part of a continuation of connections that you talked about earlier. I mean, to me, that's what life is all about, is making those connections, bringing things together, and then sharing it and taking it out to other people and continuing that chain. So I don't think there could be a more beautiful thing in the world
Mhm.
than that. That's what music is at its best, when it's doing that.
Yeah, absolutely, man. 100%.
Well, is there anything I didn't ask you that would be worthwhile covering before I let you go today? Is there a question I forgot to ask or didn't know to ask?
Not really, Alex. I'm really enjoying this conversation. The flow, I mean, is very authentic. We're just talking life and reflecting and being appreciative of where we are in life today. But yeah, this opportunity to just share a little bit of my journey and just being part of your podcast, man. This is great. I really appreciate it. So
Oh, well, I appreciate it as well. And next time you're in the New York area, I want to hear from you so we can connect in person.
you got
And
it.
I can come see you play in person if you ever play in the New York area. But in the meantime, the book is Daydreaming with Purpose. It will be out in January of 2025. Derick Sebastian, thank you so much for being my guest today. It's been a pleasure talking to you, getting to know you a little bit, and I look forward to talking to you again soon.
You got it, Alex. Mahalo, my friend. Appreciate it.
And that's it for today's conversation. Thank you for joining us. We'll be back next Tuesday. And if you like what you heard today, we'd appreciate it if you would subscribe or follow to make sure you get notified about every new episode. And please tell your friends. Also, a reminder that we release a playlist for every episode. So look for the Rock and Roll Show podcast playlist on Spotify every week, featuring songs by Derick Sebastian and the music that influenced him. So check that out. Additionally, I want to know what you think. So please leave me a comment and I'll try to respond to them. We love hearing from you. The Rock and Roll Show podcast is a World Highway Media production. I'm your host, Alex Gadden. Until next time, remember that life is short. So get those concert tickets.